Hi, it's Art, short for Artemy, and you can find me at CU Artist pretty much everywhere. So I briefly mentioned that I haven't really taken a ton of art classes, but I have technically taken a class on comic making before. It was definitely a while ago, and I kind of audited it, but I wanted to chat about that. I went to kind of a weird hippie school, but it was also pretty intense academically, but to kind of make things a little bit more well-rounded for students, they would have these things called intensives, and for 3 chunks of the year, right at the beginning of the school year, right after the winter break, and right at the end of the school year, they would have a bunch of different classes that would be the whole day, regardless of what grade you were in. And so you could really focus in on a specific thing that you were interested in. So when I was younger, I did one about ice cream, and I learned about ice cream. But I also did one about dinosaurs. There were also a lot more sporty ones, like fencing I did once, but there was a skiing and snowboarding one that people would do all the time. I was not very athletic, so I did not do that. But some of my absolute favorite ones were the art ones that I got to do. I don't think I took any art classes after elementary school that were not an intensive, so definitely not a longer term art course. Though I did have a study hall in an art class one time, so I kind of just joined when I felt like it. But some of the art intensives that I took were really fun. I got to do one about science-related art, so we did like fish prints with fake fish. I also did a photography intensive one year. That was really fun. One of the more expensive ones, because you did have to pay for the materials that you were going to use, was a mosaics intensive. That was so much fun. But my 2 absolute favorite art intensives that I ended up doing were printmaking and comics. I did both in my senior year, so I was fully, absolutely into art at that point. I still really love printmaking. I am trying to get back into it. I just need to get something to roll out my ink on, but I think it is so much fun. I want to make a lot of shirts with it, is my goal. The comic making class is the one I'm going to talk the most about, I suppose. Was really cool. There was a student teacher for the art teacher that year, so he taught both with the printmaking class and the comic making class. The comic making intensive was not with the art teacher, the real one. It was with the student teacher and the literature teacher. That literature teacher also had us in World Lit read things like Mouse and Persepolis, so he really was like, yeah, graphic novels are real and cool, and I want to teach people about those. And the student teacher has done some art making stuff and prints and comics in like galleries around town, I believe, so it was definitely a really cool thing. I mostly ended up auditing the course because I was taking a class at another school at that time, so I was only able to make it for half the day, which I was really sad about, but I did have a really good time in the parts of the class that I was able to do. We read things from Scott McCloud's Making Comics. That was my first introduction to that. I had no idea that that was everybody's Bible of comics. We had to take a section of a book that was kind of abstract and turn that into a comic. And this is where I learned a lot about doing smaller versions of the page before you get the nice paper and ink and everything out. Since I was auditing this class, I did not end up finishing the big final project we were supposed to do. I still have it. I could hypothetically finish inking it, but at this point my art has grown so much, I'm just like, ugh. It is what it is, though I was literally so close to finishing it. I just had a couple more pages of line art to do. But yeah, I just was remembering that even though I technically haven't taken any more longer form art classes, I definitely didn't take any in college. I did do one class on comics for 2 weeks, half of the day, once, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you for listening, and I hope to see you tomorrow.